Episode 280. Today we're talking about Ivan Demidov's first NHL goal and first multi-point game. So he had a 2-point game. He had 2 points in the first period yesterday against Chicago, and he ended up just blossoming and fitting right into this team and played on the third line with Yoel Armia and Alex Newhook, but he got moved up and down the lines pretty quickly and he was moving up. And I think we talked about yesterday too, just the way he plays, he can only go up in terms of the lines that he was on because he started on the third line, but if he played really well throughout this game, then he could only go up to the second line, to the first line. He ended up going up. He ended up performing, and he looked really good. And I think the thing is with the Canadians is they don't need to ease him in right away. Like he's already played pro hockey this season. If anything, you see how he did in that first game, and then you see if you can find any sort of way to move him up the lineup, I think, because there's no benefit to him playing deeper in the lineup. You want to be able to have him showcasing his skill, his creativity, his offensive flair, and to do that, he's going to have to play top 6 minutes. And to get the most out of his development, he's going to have to play top 6 minutes, especially if you want immediate impact out of him. I think he brings something the Canadians don't have right now, and that's why I think he could get moved up and down their top six pretty quickly. And it's not like one of those situations where it's a college player coming in and they have to ease him into the NHL style of game. It's a thing where with Demidov, you could get 1 or 2 games in terms of looking at him, and then you can get a solidified answer in terms of where you want him to be in the lineup because he's playing the KHL all year. There's times where his minutes have ranged in the KHL. There were times where he's playing 6 minutes a night. There are other times where he was playing almost 30 minutes a night in the KHL. I think in the NHL, he's going to have more consistency there. You're probably going to see him around the 17 to 20 mark, maybe 21, 22, maybe even 23. But I would imagine his ice time's only going to go up, especially with the way he played yesterday. He looked awesome. And he had his first point. It was a really nice play to maneuver Connor Murphy and then make the pass interior to Alex Newhook, who one timed the puck in the back of the net. That was around 7 minutes into the game. And then Demidov scored his first NHL goal in the first period later on after that first goal and scored a really nice play where the puck it was coming in and it got deflected past the red line on the dump in, so it was coming in with speed and then it hit the back wall and it came off the boards with speed and it spun out with speed. So it was able to get right inside the slot. Some teams do this where they intentionally either use a corner or that back wall just behind the net so they can get the puck into an area where it can bounce back into the slot without the goalie covering it and having the chance to cover it and get down into the reverse VH to be able to seal it. And that's what happened. So the puck came out, Soderblom wasn't able to play it even with his stick because he was getting pressured by Demidov right away. Demidov is a really unique skater in that sense. He's got really good feet, really good anticipation, and the puck skills combined on this play. I think the most noticeable is how he made the play with speed and how he's able to execute with speed because he was coming in at a pretty high pace and he was attacking straight at the net with a high pace. So he had to maneuver quickly, handle the puck, get around the backside of the crease, and then maneuver to his backhand and then tuck it in, which he did. And it looked really nice. It was just a great display of finesse and skill and talent. And we're going to see more of that from him. I think if Montreal makes the playoffs, because now it's an if, they can't afford to lose in regulation. And if they do lose in regulation, they run the risk of being out of the playoffs, barring if Columbus wins both those games. But with Montreal, it looks more and more likely that they're going to make the playoffs. So, assuming they do, Ivan Demidov, I can believe, can be a top line winger in the playoff push. And I think Montreal has the ability to make a run, not necessarily a super deep run, but I think they could get at least to the second round, maybe even the third. I don't think that's crazy. I think they have a lot of core pieces there that can do it, and they have a lot of young pieces that can be put together, and a lot of players who can rise to the occasion in the playoffs. And I think Ivan Demidov could be one of them. There's a lot of young players on Montreal's forward core now, and Demidov can definitely be one of those guys who rises to the occasion come playoff time. And he did in the KHL playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if he did it in the NHL playoffs pretty soon. Again, barring if Montreal does make the playoffs or not. It's going to be a close race to the end, but I think Montreal looks more and more likely that they're going to make it. And they have that last game coming up against Carolina to be able to do that. But I was just overall really impressed with Demidov's NHL debut. The display skill, talent, the finishing ability, but also the playmaking ability. He's got that dual threat offensive ability and the footwork. I think that's so unique about him is how he's basically an advanced version of Matvei Michkov. Like if Matvei Michkov had a more polished skating ability, he'd essentially be what Ivan Demidov is. And I found that really fascinating because it's like imagine you have Matvei Michkov doing some of the moves that Demidov does because of the footwork and because of the use of the feet, the speed of the feet, and the ability to outmaneuver guys. I saw a lot of situations, and he'd do this in the KHL a lot too, where he would be below the goal line and it would be a one-on-one situation, and he'd be using his cutbacks so often to be able to escape pressure. Did it a few times. I remember he had one. I don't remember if it was the second period or the third period. Might have been the second, where he maneuvered Oliver Moore and just beat him clean. And Oliver Moore's a really good skater too. And Oliver Moore's a hard player to beat because he can recover quickly with his feet. And then Demidov was just able to separate so effortlessly. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive to say the least. I think with Demidov, it's tough to say what he'll be right now because he's coming in so late in the season. He's coming in almost during a playoff push. But I think we're seeing a guy who could put up 100, 110 points in his prime long term. I think that's his ceiling. I think that's his upside. I mean, well, I don't really think he has a ceiling. He could maybe even hit 140. I don't think that sounds crazy to me. Like the way Kucherov plays and the slower pace that he plays at, I think with Demidov long term, you can get a franchise winger out of him. I think he's going to be a franchise player for Montreal for a very long time. And I think he's going to have an immediate impact. It's just the way he plays, the way he uses his creativity, the way he uses deception. He has a lot of translatable components that have translated not only to the KHL, but so far the NHL. And just seeing it in one game. I know Chicago's not the best team, but still seeing him being able to maneuver a lot of those guys was really, really impressive to watch. And again, him being 19, he's basically the same age as a bunch of Chicago's teams. So he's still facing guys that are relative in age to him who are still young and have a bunch of speed and stuff like that. But I just think that he's going to be a franchise player long term. That he's definitely going to make a lot of the teams that passed on him in the draft look silly, including Chicago, Columbus, and who else am I missing? There's one more team that I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but he's gonna make those teams look silly. And he just wowed me. I really didn't have many words. I was just shocked the way he was just maneuvering pressure, how he's able to escape pressure so easily, and just how he's able to use one-on-one situations to his advantage. Such a creative player, such a fluid player, and very adaptable player too. That's another key thing that is really strong in his game is his adaptability on and off the puck. He does it so well. He uses it so well. And I think that's why we're going to see him make an immediate impact because he's got that adaptability to his game that allows him to be able to create offensively so often too.